Hey everyone, welcome back. So I'm in my era of finding out what's happened to The Sims, kind of seeing what the development is for The Sims 5 or Sims 5. So I'm scouring the internet everywhere. Every time I see a rumor, I want to talk about it with you because I just think it's really interesting. I want to see what's happening behind the scenes of The Sims and just see where their mind's at. Maybe see where the future is going to go with The Sims. Obviously, I'm the biggest Sims fan in the whole world. Am I? But I just want to see where their mindset is. So I've been on the Sims community, which is great, by the way. I will link it down below. I will actually do it this time. Sorry, Sims community, where it's kind of resurfaced some new leaks or talk from a former developer at Fire Monkeys. They've been talking about things like why cars aren't in the Sims and things like that. So I'm going to read through it and we'll just briefly talk about it. Okay, so this is on the basis of someone saying RIP bands, cars, motorcycles, zombies, hotels, arcade machines, pool tables, spiral stairs, all the things that we actually want in The Sims. So they, Glooming the Plane, said, I can provide some context here actually. This was from when Fire Monkeys briefly looked after The Sims Mobile, but we've collaborated a lot with Maxis, and most of what you mentioned haven't been added for a specific reason. Oh my god, Lewis, get your words out. That would be great. Just briefly, Fire Monkeys make The Sims free play, and they said they sort of made Sims Mobile as well. So when they talked about the way The Sims 4 was developed, it was actually easier to greenlight new ideas than previous ones in some cases. When a pack gets made, or even a plan for upcoming content, the question often gets asked, where's the data? A lot of returning content was often look at player data and statistics from The Sims 3. I'm not sure if The Sims 2 was included in that, but definitely The Sims 3. If any idea was pitched, e.g. spiral stairs, the immediate thing was check the data. And if only a small portion of players actually use that feature or function, it was looked to see if it was high cost, low value, or low cost potential value. That's really interesting. So it looks like they pulled data from The Sims 3. The only thing I could think of is when you agree to EA's terms of service and when you link your account with The Sims 3 store. I wonder if they pulled the data that way. So something like pool tables was one of the things that was discussed. Very few players actually use them in Sims 3 and it was considered high cost, low value. Again, I think it's to do with not a lot of people, the data they got, not a lot of people were using it. Whereas if they were to put effort into making the item, the same amount of players that use them in Sims 3, it was low value for the game. They weren't doing it, basically. Pretty much everything you mentioned also came up for ideas for The Sims Mobile and The Sims 4. The overall consensus was these ideas, e.g. bands, activities, spiral staircases, even cars and pop star careers, were all things players didn't actively pursue. We had ideas to do a pop star career where players from other games could join your concert, etc. And the idea tested badly because it wasn't used in The Sims 3. It's really interesting they keep mentioning Sims 3. I suppose it was the game before Sims 4. I believe we did something with cars in the end, but I remember only a small percentage of Sims 3 players actually bought their Sims cars. Most relied on the taxi, so it was considered low value, so Maxis didn't try and pitch it. I mean, I don't know how I feel about this. I feel like everybody wants cars in The Sims 4. If you look up any video on YouTube, I feel like everyone mentions cars. I think I've mentioned cars 100 times. This is really interesting. Let's go on to the next one. So now The Sims 4 is truly over this year then. It's basically what somebody's asked. There's no Sims 5. The next game will be an evolution of The Sims 4, but it won't be everything carried over. I talked about it before. I think this is what we spoke about with Project X. And the plans have not changed, but long story short, it's to do with the Saudi deal because EA is trying to massively cut costs. This is not new. This is every video game developer will be like this. A new game without the backlog for having to make it work for older content, AI, blah blah blah. Sims 4 is very profitable, and it's one of the most profitable games they make. But they want to minimize how much money they put back into the game. So Sims 4 RIP. And then somebody mentioned about lots. And they said that the game definitely could. It was the system requirements that stopped them. So it looks like they were going to toy around the idea of open neighborhoods where it was one little area. They mentioned about the area where the Goths lived, and apparently it's using some trailers. So that lot where the Goths are, and there's 4 lots, they probably all would have been in some way connected, and you would be able to go into them. So someone mentioned Sims Life Stories, Pet Stories, sort of the spin-off games. From memory, Herbs sold really bad and lost EA money from music licensing. So if you didn't know, Herbs was like a spin-off to The Sims. It was like a really unique Sims game. It is my favorite Sims game, so do not come for Herbs in the comments. But it was heavily like music based. The Black Eyed Peas were made basically like they were the big thing in the game, and I can imagine that the cost of having the Black Eyed Peas versus the amount of sales Herbs made probably is the reason we never did get Herbs 2. There was a cancelled Herbs spin-off. We can go over that at a different time. But I'm glad they're going to mention Bustin' Out, so let's carry on reading. Bustin' Out did really well, just as well as The Sims did. 2 did as a whole. The online component was one of the reasons EA pushed for online in Sims 4, but I suppose back then it was the wow factor of playing online. I think once that wears off, people don't really want to play The Sims online. So The Sims Bustin' Out kind of had like on the PlayStation 2 version of the game, it had like, I can't remember what it was called, but you could go online in like a room and it was online. But like they said, I do think it was like a wow thing. I don't think people actually want online Sims. I think that it was more of a like, oh, we haven't seen this before, rather than it be anything else. It's very interesting. I know I briefly scanned over that. There's 100 videos on YouTube. I just think it's really interesting that I pull in like Sims 3 data to like decide what's going to work for The Sims 4. The Sims 4 is the highest selling Sims game of like all time. The base and the people that play now, and the fact that Sims 4 is free to play for the most part, apart from DLC, it's mad that they're still using data like that, because the Sims 3 players are still playing Sims 4. I played Sims 3. I've been a Sims fan for a long time, but like arguably there's so many new people, and like what are the surveys for? Why are we completing the surveys? That's what we want. That's data. That's actual data. I just don't understand why they would use Sims 3 as like the basis of that. The cars make no sense. The pool tables make no sense. I just don't get it. But interesting nonetheless. So what do you think? Do we think that maybe they're saving these features for the next Sims game? Do we think Sims 4 will ever get any of those features? I really hope cars come in some capacity, but we'll have to wait and see. And what about My Sims? Where's the new My Sims game? EA, bring a new My Sims game out right now. Thank you everyone for watching. I know that was just like a quick chat, but it's really interesting to see where EA's mind are and where they go. I knew they would use old Sims games as reference, but I thought that might just be to mimic the packs. But very interesting. Thank you for watching again. Please like the video and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.